Hey everyone, in this video I'll show you how to use the Canvas editor in Leonardo AI. In order to do so, first off we are at app.leonardo.ai, and once you're there and logged in you should be met with a screen similar to this. And what you're looking for is either on the left hand side in the menu or in the main menu here you'll find the Canvas editor, and if you click on that, then that should take you to the editor, and that's what you're going to be seeing here. So after playing around with this a little bit and some trial and error, I found that you do need to be careful, always with image generators. You got to be careful because a lot of times you end up making mistakes and you end up using credits, finding out the hard way how not to do stuff. So I would definitely recommend doing your research before you use the editor. I will do my best to take you through the process here so that you can learn from my mistakes. So first off, what we're going to do is we're going to upload our image. So here on the left hand side, you can see that, and from here you have the option to either use one of your uploads, or you can go to your generations. You can look through your generations. You've got collections. I don't have a collection. You also have the community feed that you can choose from. I'm going to go ahead and just focus on this image that I have uploaded here because it's a good example for what we're doing. So what you're going to see here, we have our main page and we can move this around as we wish. Now you're going to either be on the pan, and with the pan you can move around the whole image, or with the select, then here we're selecting the specific area that we want to move around. And basically what this is everything that is within these parameters here, within these boundaries, that is what is the editor is going to focus on. So the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that the editor is focusing on what it is that we want it to focus on. So you could see here that this is kind of giving us a square, but we might want that to be a little bit bigger to capture all of the detail here that we want to change. So here on the right hand side, you're going to have a variety of options to choose from. And one thing I found is that you might even need to change the model that you're using in order to get the results that you're looking for, because sometimes even the model, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. And I learned that the hard way. The next thing you want to make sure is that you have your Outpaint toggled on or off, but most likely it's going to be off, especially if you're focusing on a specific area, because what Outpaint is going to do is it's going to change all of the, let's go ahead and just take a different view here. There we go. It's going to extend the image around all the sides, and we don't want that. We just want the specific area right here to be modified. So we're going to make sure that Outpaint is turned off. Next, we have our Inpaint strength. This is, you can have it all the way up to 1. You might want to dial it down a little bit depending on the results that you're getting. I'm going to go ahead and leave it on 0.9, and we might modify that if necessary. So here we have our image dimensions, and you can see that if you click on this, it's going to give you a different size for the barriers here that we're going to be working within. And we're going to just focus on 512 by 512, but in this case we want it to come down a little bit more because it's not quite getting all of the edges here that we want. So what we can do here is we're going to modify the height. We're just going to change that slightly just so that it gets everything that we're looking for. So there we go. So we have this, basically it's this sword here that we want to remove that. So what we're going to do is from there we have two options. We have the draw mask, or we have the erase. Now I believe in this case that what we're looking for is we're looking for the erase option, because what we want to do is we want to erase this sword. So let's go ahead and try that. Let's just here. And we're just going to see. Now I think that actually is not what we want. I think that is I think we're going to backtrack here. We're going to go with mask. And so another thing we can do is we can modify the size of the mask. Here, let's just go a little bit bigger on that, just make things easier on us. And what we're going to do is we're just going to mask everywhere we see the sword here. And that is basically telling the telling DaVinci that this is all we want to focus on. We don't want to focus on anything else. We just want this area here. So the next thing we want is we want to tell Leonardo what it is that we want to see here. So in this case, all we want is we want to just see the rocks and the background there. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say that, and let's see how that turns out. So we'll just say rocks and sky. And then from here, we want to click generate. So we're going to go ahead and click generate now, and we're going to see what it is that Leonardo does with this image here. We just give that a moment. Okay, and now we see the results, and this is more like it. This is what I was trying to get before, and I wasn't quite able to dial that in. So this is really the key here. You know, once you have your area selected, then you are going to want to make sure that you draw a mask, and you want to specify exactly what it is that you want it to change. So in this case, you know, we wanted to change the sword. We wanted to remove all of that. We typed in rocks and sky. We hit generate. Now the next thing is we have here, you'll see that you have 1 out of 4 options to choose from. So we can toggle through, and we can see that there are some different options here that we can choose from. And so whichever one that we like the best is the one that we can use. And quite honestly, I like this here because I like this little glint of light on there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit accept on that, and there we go. Now we have modified this area. It looks like there's a little bit of a issue here, but what we can do is we can go ahead and modify that as well. I am showing here that we did get a little bit of like tearing, so that is that's a little disappointing. That's not quite what we were looking for. So let's go ahead and let's try now to mask this area, and hopefully we will do what we want here. So let's see, you know, okay. Now, I'm not sure how this is going to work out. In fact, one thing I want to see is, okay, yeah, so we do have to hero holding sword. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what happens here. We're not going to go too deep into this, but I do want to give you some idea of what you might expect when it comes to Leonardo, and maybe some of the limitations that you might run into, because credits are precious, and so it's a good idea to know where mistakes can be made, so that way you can try to avoid them if possible. But let's go ahead and see what we have here. I'm going to go ahead and hit generate on that and give it just a moment. Okay, so we have our results here, and happily it did take care of the tearing. Now, it looks a bit strange the way that he's holding the sword. However, we are going to look through the different options here and see what we got. Okay. So it changed it a little bit, but I do like this here because it is sort of ambiguous enough, kind of hiding in the corner here, that it does look like he's holding the sword properly, and that did give us some pretty good results. So I'm relatively happy with that, so I'll just go ahead and hit accept. And there you have it. That is basically how you can use the Canvas editor in Leonardo. And unfortunately, I still am seeing a little bit of tearing here. So that's something to be aware of. If you're using the Canvas editor, just be aware that where you put the parameters, the boundaries of your of the focus mode here, you might end up with some tearing. And so if that's the case, then probably what you would want to do is, I would say, if you extend that, let's see here. So if you extended that and you just said, okay, so now here holding a sword, we can go ahead and hit generate here, and then we can see how well that takes care of the tearing there. But again, this is where trial and error, there might be some good information out there as to how to avoid the tearing, but that is something to look out for if you are using the Canvas editor. But that's all we're going to go into now. That gives you an idea of how to get you started there. If you found this video helpful, please leave a comment and like and subscribe for more helpful tips.